guys, how it's going? It's me, Edgar, representing the boxing collector, and today's topic I wanna go with you to the differences or comparison between what would be our two different Bayoneta gloves version, which is the Pulat Horsehair and the MX Horsehair. So these two versions, they are built in the same shape and glove profile. So from a first glance, we could tell it's almost the very same glove, but there is a slight differentiation within the padding material and the balance on the padding. I'm just gonna get my hands into this just to make it more easier for me to describe my differences. So again, this is the Pulat Horsehair. This is conformed of polyurethane, horsehair as in a sandwich in the middle, and latex on top of it all. The thing with the Pulat Horsehair is that it has enough foam layers throughout the glove that when you get your hands into this, your whole hand feels surrounded and well cushioned, foam cushioned around your whole hand. Even though it's still kind of a moldable padding, what I refer to moldable padding, it's in some sort, as a fighter or enthusiast, you tend to grab your padding of each of your gloves and kind of you make them sit to your knuckles. So if you have a denser padding, or if it's mostly foam or latex, super thick latex, it's gonna be less moldable, right? But the softer the padding becomes, and even so, if it has horsehair, it becomes a glove with padding that is much more moldable. All right, then we go to the MX Horsehair. As I have said, it's based on the same profile, same shape, right? But what it changes, or the main only difference, is actually the way in the variation of each layer and horsehair it's constructed, or it's provided into this glove construction. So this is even softer. This has slightly more horsehair within the padding, within the foam layers, the polyurethane and the latex. And also we use a softer foam, multi-layer foam, which makes it, as you can see, more moldable to your hands. This does not, being more moldable does not necessarily mean that it's gonna be less protective or most protective, right? But it's just more fittable if you like to adjust the padding more in a certain way to your knuckles or to your hands. So the thing with being more moldable, or at least on these two versions that we're talking about, it's that after the most you train with this on the back, it becomes the more feedback you start getting to your knuckles and to your hands. So this is part of the reason why we tend to call them puncher's gloves. Puncher's gloves is usually expressed for those fighters or boxers that enjoys getting the most feedback through their knuckles, and this is what happens. This is the type of feedback you get from these two type of gloves, or mostly with all horsehair conform padding gloves, but especially we're talking about these two, the Pulat Horsehair and the MX Horsehair, right? But within those two difference, the difference between these two is the Pulat Horsehair will provide slightly more protection and slightly less feedback than this one, because this, for being softer, and as soon as you start hitting the backs a few sessions, the horsehair will crack up and you're gonna get more feedback to your knuckles. Again, you do as well with this, but this will take slightly longer to get those breaks in, so you get the full feedback into your knuckles. In terms of comfort, these two gloves, the Pulat Horsehair or the MX Horsehair, they fit super nice. They fit very snug. So get me as a reference. I consider myself a medium hand size. I'm more leaning to the small hand size rather than large. So here I'm fitting myself a 14 ounces and as well for 14 ounces, which are actually my preferable sizes for me personally, and they fit nicely snug, right? They do not fit tight. They get moldable to your hand very quickly. So even though if they fit you slightly tighter within the snug and tight parameter, it will definitely, after a first session, I would say it will just mold better and get loosened up a bit better to your hands. But anyway, even if you go on the 16 ounces, the profile goes slightly larger, the higher the weight size of the gloves. But these are still gloves designed to fit snug, ideally for small and medium hands. A large size should definitely fit as well, but you may want to consider at the early beginning while you are molding this up and breaking them up, you may want to consider using perhaps some light dropping or so.